Hello everyone. So as you may know, this is the Vaio Z Canvas. It's really a device unlike any other. There's literally nothing on the market like this device. It's a quad-core, 12-inch tablet with essentially every port you could possibly want. 2500 resolution screen. It's really not like unlike anything else there is. So let me start with the keyboard. The keyboard, it's detachable. There's no way to attach it. The way it works essentially is it has this little dimple here. I'm not sure if you can see that well, but this little dimple, it plugs into this spot right here. So when you face the keyboard upside down over the laptop, it automatically charges the keyboard. However, it can also be charged using this micro USB port. So you can have a micro USB cable just similar to any Android charger plugged in from the keyboard to the device, or simply to a wall charger. So it kind of gives you a variety of different ways on how to charge the keyboard. So if you just kind of have this sitting at home all day and you say you only bring the tablet anywhere, you could just have this permanently plugged into power and always charged. One of the nice feature I like is that it has 3 modes of operation. It has an off button, an on button, and an on button without the touchpad. This is also handy. It's nice to just have this as a standalone keyboard. If you're using a mouse, why deal with the touchpad? So, keyboard-wise, you may have noticed I actually have this little sticky note here. It's covering up the beautiful Vaio logo, which also gets scratched up and dirty easily. The bottom of this is metal, so just prepare for this laptop to get scratched up. I mean, if this is on a table and there's any dust on the ground or anything like that, you're sliding this around, it's gonna get scratched. And I know it's a real premium device. It's really stylish, it's really sleek, but it's just gonna get scratched because it's metal. And unless you literally baby it and it's in the perfect environment, it will get scratched. So just remember that. Essentially, this sticky note here I have, it's because every edge of the keyboard has a little rubber, little kind of stand, but the middle does not. So I'm not just covering up the Vaio logo here. Essentially, this is just to give it a little bit of space in the middle. And I noticed this when I first bought the device, is that there's quite a bit of flex at the center of the keyboard, and it's literally just that it has a kind of like a circular area of these little rubber stands, but nothing in the middle. And in terms of actual typing, it's a good keyboard. I mean, you can't compare it to a full laptop keyboard. You can't compare it to a ThinkPad keyboard or a nice Dell keyboard, but it works. There's really nothing necessarily wrong with it. And it's detachable. You can walk around with it. You can have it anywhere. You can be working on a device at any angle. And I do like that. Obviously, there's a mass. I mean, you can agree there's a mass disadvantage of having this detachable, but there are also many advantages. And at this point, it's kind of hard to say which is better. If you really ask me, considering, I just want to say that I am not a graphics designer or an artist, so I do not really use this pen for anything that it really should be used for. So I can't comment on anything, for example, such as pressure of the pen. I cannot comment what programs it works with, how it works. I can just say the touch and the pen for me seem to work great, but if you're planning to use this as a graphics designer, this might not be the best review, as I don't go into the pen too much. So yeah, keyboard aside, this is the device. Literally the most powerful tablet on earth. No device like it. It's a truly stunning machine. Let's just take a look at the ports here. So these are the ports on this tablet. It has a charging port, extendable Ethernet port, HDMI, mini display port, SD card, 2 USBs, and a headphone jack. It also has a rear camera over here and a front-facing camera. Also, you may notice the SD card is currently installed. So as you can see, it's almost perfectly flush with the device. So if you're wondering, can I add a 256 gig SSD card to this device and expand my storage? Yes, you can. And the SD card will be perfectly flush with your device. There won't be any ugly cards sticking out of the side. This is another major plus, as obviously the larger storage options are more expensive. Something else I just wanted to point out, this device can be taken apart fairly easily. There are basically 2 or 3 little bolts that you need a very thin screwdriver to get through the grill. But essentially, once you get through the grill, I have not done this myself, but I've read other people doing this. Essentially, the entire device just slides apart, and the only difficult part of taking it apart is the video cable is very, very fragile. So when you're taking it apart, take extreme care to not destroy the video cable. It apparently is very easy to break and is nearly impossible to get a second version of. So you essentially can totally brick your device if you snap the cable going to the screen. I also just want to point out that if you look at this grill, it is absolutely massive. This device has 3 fans inside of it. I mean, just look at this. This is a tablet. And some people complain that this is kind of too thick. It's nothing like a real tablet. Come on, an iPad is so small compared to this. But I totally disagree. This device is much smaller than it seems. It's not big at all. And when you consider what is inside of it compared to an iPad or a similar Android tablet, it just completely 100% blows them out of the water. I mean, just look at these ports. I mean, the device is barely thicker than any other tablet. If you looked at a laptop from, I don't know, even just a few years ago, this would be super skinny. So anyone complaining that this device is too thick and bulky, it's just absolutely ridiculous. There's nothing like that. It's a tiny 12-inch tablet with a 2.5K resolution screen. It packs all the newest gadgets. It has a front-facing, rear-facing camera. It has touch, pen support. There's nothing else like it. And in terms of the quad core, some of you may be wondering, how does this thing actually work? I just want to say it works great. In fact, right now, the device is completely silent. I literally cannot hear anything. And there's, between Chrome windows open and Firefox windows open right now, there are probably at least 40, if not more tabs. And there's literally no sound. You can essentially not hear the fan at all. And if I were to close all the tabs and reopen them, you could hear it very briefly for maybe 4 or 5 seconds, but that's about it. I've tried rendering a video on this, and yes, the fan got a bit loud, but it seemed to run through perfectly fine. I didn't see any issues, and most workstation laptops, if you're going to be putting it at 100% CPU usage, you'll definitely hear the fan. So considering this is a tiny tablet, I mean, I would 100% expect to hear the fan, and I do. But this is only in certain tasks when rendering or doing something very intensive. Otherwise, the fan is essentially non-existent. I use this with a second monitor, no problem, no lag, everything opens instantly. I've not had a single issue. And let's say I want to go over a couple other things. Where there's 2 buttons, for example, at the top here. There's one on each side. So the one on the right, this is a no touch lock. So this way, if you're using the pen, this is all that'll work. But my finger will not. Oh, I think I might have just turned it off. Oh, there we go. So my finger will not. So when you're drawing on this, you can have your whole hand, and it won't screw up anything, but your pen will still work perfectly fine. This is a nice touch, so just a one quick button, and that's it. The button on the left brings up a kind of a side menu of hotkeys that can be used with the touch. So you can do copy and paste, control, shift, all kind of different things. I've not really used this at all, but I'm just going to point out it's there. So another thing that many people have had concerns with this device is battery life. Now, some have actually been saying it has terrible battery life, and to me, those claims seem a little ridiculous. Yes, maybe compared to a MacBook Pro or something like that, it has a terrible battery life, but we're looking at a 12-inch tablet with a quad-core i7. And for me, if I work on it kind of the same way I do now, have maybe 40 tabs open, maybe a little more, and I'm just kind of working on it. I'm not really rendering anything, just doing basic tasks, Excel, Gmail, things like that. The battery for me seems to last around 5 hours. So I consider that pretty good. If you're a little on the heavy side, it's closer to 4 hours. But we're talking about a 12-inch tablet here, and you can pretty much get 5 hours out of it. And if you're conservative, you can get 6. And that's pretty awesome. And also on standby, if you have just a screen turn off, I actually one day went to bed and I forgot to turn off the device. I thought it was off. And I woke up after 8 hours of the device being on, and I don't think it even lost 30% of its battery life over an 8-hour night of just being on standby with the screen off. And I'm very impressed by that. I mean, literally, this means that if you have the setting where the screen turns off, say after 2 minutes or 1 minute of you walking away, this device will just stand on your desk all day, on battery life. And you can walk up to it, do what you need to do, walk away and come back, and it'll be there all day long. And that's really something impressive for me. And I guess let's come to the hinge. The hinge on this laptop, tablet, is literally one of the most fancy things I've ever seen on any computer ever. So let's just lean it back. So it has a wide range of motion. So somewhere around here, it gets to the lowest point where that it can lean. Let's see, you'll hear the hinge snap and it'll suddenly fall. Come on, this is about the lowest. I think any more than this, it'll fall. Essentially, even this, I don't know if you're seeing the angle of this. This essentially supports my whole hand. I can just rest my arm on this. It's truly remarkable. So now let's just see. I'm gonna try to go a little lower. That's it. That was it. That's basically the lowest. Now it's starting to drop off. So, and the whole idea of this is where the magic comes in. When you show this to people, they're simply blown away. Just believe this. I want to lift it up, one finger. That's it. Want to lower it down, one finger. You want to plop your hand on this and draw it. You want to rest your whole arm on this. It is perfectly steady. This is really something unbelievable. It's like whoever designed this hinge, it is absolutely perfectly designed for this device. I've never seen anything like this. One finger touch up, full force down. It can lead in any angle. It's just unbelievable. As you can see the way the hinge works, kind of essentially just one little bar in the center, and I'm gonna fold it back up here. So I don't have to see my serial number, but this is the back of the device. It hinges in the middle. And yes, there are a lot of drawbacks to this design. I definitely don't disagree. But there are a lot of advantages as well. For example, it's not quite as bad to use on your lap as you may think. Simply because what I tend to do is I just open this and then I essentially jam it kind of between my two knees when I'm sitting on a couch, and it's supported perfectly well. The one thing I do want to point out with this hinge, this is actually kind of important to note. Actually, if you have it leaning down like this, and say you leaned it down like this and you had it laying on your lap, or just kind of like on something not firm, you know, like a couch, bed, mattress, pillow, this is not really going to work, and it's going to slowly kind of come back up to itself. This is due to the fact that the hinge is set up to be so perfectly adapted to the device's weight so that if there's any kind of lack of support from the bottom, the device will just slowly kind of come back up. So this is it's a minor disadvantage, but honestly, considering the way the hinge is designed, it's just absolutely mind-blowing. I truly love it. There's really nothing like it. And also, if you ask me, I came from a long line of Vaios. I had a Vaio Z 2009. I had a Vaio Z 2010, which I could argue is possibly one of the greatest laptops ever made. And basically, if you ask me, I kind of wish this was a full laptop. I know I'm not a graphics designer. I wish this could just somehow attach, even like a Surface, Microsoft Surface. It's just a little annoying because if you want to walk around the office, you're gonna have to bring this, and there's no real easy way to carry this because if you put it over the screen, the laptop will go to sleep. So, and then there's no real nice way to put it behind the device either. It's just kind of annoying. So if you're going to a meeting, you're essentially just carrying these two things, and it's really more of a stationary device. And if you want to only bring the tablet and you're at a meeting, of course you can use the pen to take notes. I tend to not do that, but yeah, there are obvious, as I pointed out at the beginning, there are obvious major disadvantages and major advantages to this design. And due to my preference, since I'm not a graphics designer, I would like a way for the keyboard to attach. And I am a little disappointed that the current Vaio offerings do not have a quad-core option similar to this. Because this is really what makes this device. I mean, there's nothing like it. It has an absolutely fantastic display. It has pretty decent sound. You can watch any video without needing any kind of external speakers. It's really just, everything is absolutely top notch on this device. It's, in fact, just outside of those simple compromises with the keyboard and kind of due to the device type itself, I really can't find a single con to this machine. I've been absolutely blessed to have it. It's been great to use. It has great battery life. It's easy to carry around. You can take notes. And I've even actually hooked it up. I had a GPS program on my boat. And I used this on my boat. So I could essentially ride in the boat and see where I'm going using GPS and link to a phone. It was kind of interesting. So let's see if there's anything else I can point out about this. I've used this for about a month and a half. It's been fairly heavy used. I've used it every single day. Also, I didn't point out here on the side there is a volume rocker, and it can actually kind of be blocked by the pen a little bit. But honestly, that's not a big deal. You can kind of put the pen a little lower if you want. Also, that's where the power button is. But overall, it's really a machine that stands on its own. I'd really like to see Vaio continue this, and I'd really like to see an option that is more of a laptop, kind of with the same exact design. This is truly an awesome device. I don't even know what else I'd get. I mean, can I get any 12-inch computer with a quad-core processor? Pretty much no. So if you're looking to get this computer, actually, this was on eBay for $997. And this is the 256 gig version with 8 gigs of RAM. This is really a good deal. For $1,000, you can pretty much, get like a MacBook Air or any general kind of okay PC Ultrabook, or you can get this, which can just completely blows them all out of the water. And you got to take into consideration the fact that the keyboard doesn't attach, and it's not a laptop, but I do think it's worth the effort. If any closing thoughts, I recommend this device 100%, and everyone who's seen it seems to really like it. So go for it. If you can get a refurbished version and you're not going for something for $2,000 to $2,500, I definitely think this is a good buy.